That's a good. Oh, here we go. Why do we tell actors to break a leg?
Why?
Hi, Ben.
Because every play has a cast.
Oh.
And with that, we're live.
Our festival
Wow.
director, everyone, Ben Hill.
That's funny. That's a funny one.
We are live on Facebook, and we will be posting this stream to our YouTube after the event. I'm going to start admitting our people like Khan into this room. Oh,
Jokes
and
are
I
funny. I should just Google good jokes more often. And change.
Hi.
You should.
Oh,
Oh, I'm muted. Hi.
hi.
Welcome, welcome. So this is everyone, right? Everyone's going to be coming? Anyone wants to come? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm just having a meeting with all the head people.
Oh, you're just a little early. We're just waiting for more to jump on, and so we'll just be admitting people as they
Gotcha.
hop in.
Sorry that I labeled you guys the head people.
I took offense to that.
Hey,
It's why he's
Bella.
not showing his face.
Well, you have a head.
Hey, Bella, did you hear about the new restaurant called Karma? There's no menu. You get what you deserve.
No. No. No, no.
We want people.
Okay, hold on.
Boo!
I got another one. Helvetica and Times New Roman walk into a bar. Get out of here, shouts the bartender. We don't serve your type.
Boo! Boo! Can someone else run
Nobody
this?
joined the Zoom call.
So
Okay,
glad
one
I
more.
tuned in for dad puns.
Yes, exactly. I got one more.
It's not too late to turn back.
About the mathematician? Did you hear about the mathematician who's afraid of negative numbers? He'll stop at nothing to avoid them.
Oh,
It
that
takes-
hurt.
How do we kick Ben off this stream?
Ellen, you can. Remember, you have the hosting capabilities.
But I like
do it?
kind of. No.
Boo.
Oh no.
Wow.
I kind of like need more jokes to keep me going. as
Oh
we're
yeah.
waiting.
Okay. Here we go. Yeah, I got it.
Oh, no. Ellen, what did you do?
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there, Ben?
Control freak.
Control freak.
Okay,
two.
now you say control freak who? It's good.
You need to teach that one to Ada.
Wow.
She likes the interrupting cow one.
I like the interrupting cow one too. Kids have a good taste.
Welcome, Gordon.
I love it.
For anyone just tuning in, Festival Director Ben Hill is giving us jokes.
Okay, here we go. A bear walks into a bar and says, "Give me a whiskey and cola." Why the big pause? Oh, here we go. Let me try it again. Here we go. 12 more time. A bear walks into a bar and says, "Give me a whiskey and cola." Why the big pause? Asks the bartender. I'm not sure. I was born with them. Pause.
Bad.
Get it?
Boo!
Bad.
Where's the hook?
Oh boy.
What do you call a fish with no eyes?
What? What? What do you call a fish with no? Oh, okay. I'm there. Thank you. Take a second. It's a.
Boom, boom.
Why the long pause?
Oh no.
Why did the chicken go to the seance? To
Why?
get to the other side.
No.
Great.
Mm-mm.
Come on. That was a
You
good one.
started out stronger.
If April showers
Hey,
bring May flowers, what do May flowers bring?
Pilgrims.
That's right.
Oh, that's kind of offensive. I'm not going to say that one.
Pilgrims?
No. Something I'm reading. Yeah, you're offending pilgrims everywhere.
My bad. I'll write a play about it.
Why don't
Who's canceled?
Let's get back to those dad jokes, maybe.
aren't these all dad jokes? I mean, effectively, aren't bad jokes just dad jokes, or do you require a pun to be a dad joke?
I'm going to require puns.
Agreed.
This is great.
This is making my day better.
How we haven't started out every town hall with a joke session
It's
is
just
beyond
jokes. It's just a whole series of jokes.
Seriously.
What do you call a fake noodle? An impasta.
That's right.
You're on mute. That's why I'm not hearing the roars of laughter.
Must be it. Mhm.
So Fringe being canceled was just a joke.
Yeah. it's all a joke. Well, you know, we had this rule because April 1st has always been a big day for us, that we would never, ever, ever do an April Fool's gag like other organizations do. Like, you know.
Yes. I still love your website, Ben. Bootstrap is the way to go.
Thank you very much. Yes, we had that conversation last.
Yes, we did it at some pockets.
It was a pockets. It was a pockets, right? It's about
I'm
to go.
into Divi now. Do you know about Divi? D-I-V-I? It's a WordPress theme.
Oh, okay, yeah, sure. Okay, yeah.
I'm all about that.
We're about to move to AWS in the next month or so. We're going full on AWS.
Your performance is phenomenal. I'm so impressed with it.
See, Khan, he knows how to compliment me.
He knows. He asked me how to get into your good graces earlier, so that's what I told him. Compliment the website speed.
performance.
I benchmarked that puppy.
Ben, your performance on the website, I can't get enough of it.
Funny. Look at I did SQA back in the day, back in 2000.
It's yeah, every call is under 300 milliseconds.
See, look at what's that? This isn't pandering.
You can go back to 2012, Ben, and we can have that conversation.
Oof, it was more than 300 milliseconds in 2012. It was like 1.5 seconds.
Who's the host right now?
Right now it's Heroku, who sits on AWS, but we're going direct AWS.
Ellen, how many are we waiting on? How many people?
We have a few more, but I feel like we should get started.
Well, guys, you saw our pre-show, so glad everyone was here for that
I'm out.
big moment in the Fringe history. So welcome to our first virtual town hall. I wish it were under better circumstances, but I'm glad you all are here and glad to see your faces. I want to give you a heads up. We are recording. This will end up on our Fringe TV platform, so anyone who wasn't here is able to, see what we talked about. We are also live streaming to Facebook and Instagram. So say hi, Facebook, hi, Instagram.
Just Facebook.
Just kidding, just Facebook. And so yeah, that's what's happening. There's not a lot of us here, so I feel like there's no need to be super formal about like having everyone muted. If you just want to keep your own platform muted when you're not speaking to avoid background noise, that'd be awesome. And if you have a question, just pop that into the chat and just say, hey, I have a question, and we'll call out your name and you can take the virtual mic from there. Sound good? Awesome. I'm going to send it over to Ellen real quick to kind of just go over some announcements that are coming up, the programs that are still happening. So take it away, Ellen.
Hi, everyone. I just wanted to start off by giving some announcements about what's coming up. We have our Access Committee's first roundtable and listening session this Saturday from 12 to 2 p.m. We have tickets available on our Fringe site just so that you can get the Zoom link like it was for today, but we'll also be live streaming that as well to YouTube specifically. And we'll pop the information in the chat as well at the end of this. We have our next office hours coming up on Wednesday, July 1st from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. And that will be from our Discord channel, will also be done on Zoom, and information for that will also be popped into the chat so that you can sign up for that. We'll be continuing all of this Fringe from Home programming in the coming months, from office hours to new workshops, and also our cabaret, which Bella can give a shout out about in a little bit. And we also have been gathering some artist resources for everybody that we posted on our blog. There's everything from funding opportunities to some tax resources, and Bella will pop that in the chat as well. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we're also allowing our community to use our ticketing system right now for free. And as an extra bonus, we've also added in some free online impressions. We have a blog post on how to do that, as well as kind of an outline of the benefits that will also be popping into the chat. But all of this is available, plus more, on hollywoodfringe.org as always. And that's all my announcements for now.
To add to that, just one question that came through our form that we sent out ahead of time was, why not do a virtual festival? And so this is kind of our version of that, as opposed to doing an official festival where we have tons of shows competing for time during 1 week. We're essentially opening up our platform, our ticketing, our marketing for the foreseeable future, so that shows can take ownership and take advantage of our tools to produce their own work. We're also currently working on some marketing partnerships so that we can get the word out even beyond our community and platform to help support everyone in their work. So any questions?
It's going to be real short if no one's got questions.
Comments are also welcome. The reason we did a town hall in this fashion was so that we could hear from our community. We are here to serve you, the artists, and our community. So if there's things that even just a question you had about not Fringe, or a comment on something you saw somewhere, like whatever it is, open forum.
And you can also use if you don't feel like talking, there's the chat engine as well. I think we can do that on YouTube, right? Where you're monitoring comments and stuff. So yeah, anybody has any questions, now's your time. Or I could just sit here and tell more jokes. So it's your choice, guys. Dad jokes or questions?
I'll jump in with a question, because I was one of the people that did ask about virtual Fringe, because I noticed that there is a lot of resources in terms of free ticketing, everything you just said. But I guess one of the things I find really beneficial as a Fringe participant in the past is having that concentrated time of, we're all doing shows, we're all doing marketing at the same time. So there's also a lot of cross collaboration with marketing with other Fringe participants. So that would be the only value I see in continuing a Fringe style festival. And I'm wondering if it's just a matter of not wanting to put a lot of burden on the Fringe staff, or if that's something that you just encourage for past Fringers to organize by themselves on a Facebook group.
So good, that's a great question. We definitely, as a staff, feel that a lot of what makes a festival, our festival at least, that sense of community, of in-person contact, the networking events and all of that. So that was kind of why we chose to go a different route as opposed to the official virtual festival. But that being said, as far as all the marketing and the cross promotion options, we are going to run our office hours program continually over the next several months. So ideally, those things can still very much happen. That's actually happened a lot at our office hours for those who were able to join us on some of those. It's a lot of discussing, the shows and discussing similar shows even. There's a lot of Shakespeare happening right now on the virtual Fringe. So there are those options to connect.
Oh, I would also just wanted to throw out there too that we do have this new Discord channel, and I think that also might be a good resource for people to use, because it is a platform that we encourage our Fringers to kind of take over and use as their own. You can make your own channels and start to build networks that way if that's a different avenue other than Facebook that you wanted to use. And we already have quite a few people using it right now.
I'm so new to Discord. I just discovered it yesterday. So how does this work? I know that I joined a kind of a dance party type thing with Sophie Tucker this morning on Discord, and I automatically was brought into that. I don't know how. So how do I choose and find Hollywood Fringe Festival 2020? How do I use it basically? Or
do you want me to take that? Well, so for Discord, Bella will also be popping, can also pop that into the chat maybe a little later, or I can pop that into the chat. We have an easy like go-to how to set up into our thing, and you'll just kind of accept your way in, kind of like you did with that. Click on our link and accept your way into our channel. And then from there, there's different levels. Obviously, you have different like admins and things like that, and we can kind of develop that over the next year. If there's more Fringe participants that want to be able to request to build more things, we can build it for them, or we'll see that as it grows. But basically there's all these different channels, and we can build unlimited channels for people to be able to discuss things on more of like a work-based type platform, whereas Facebook is more like we have, hey, posts here, and it's not really filtered by topic. This just kind of lets you filter by topic. So for instance, there's like a solo show channel, or we can make one like cross promotion, or we could, if somebody's like, hey, you know what, I want to run a week-long event with multiple people in September, you could make a channel for that. Something like that might be effective.
Thank you. It's really helpful. Thank you.
John, you have a question?
Okay, I've done 2 virtual shows within the past week, and I have a couple questions. First is, we assumed that the virtual shows would last through September because Fringe physical shows would start in October. Is that still the case? That's my first question.
So as of right now, we plan to extend them at the very least through this year.
Okay. Second question is, I did basically 1 performance of each show. What are people doing? Are they doing more than 1 in terms of stuff that's virtual, that's streamed?
So from what I've seen on there so far, it's kind of a mixture. Some people are doing one-offs. Some people, I know we were talking to Marcus last night on our office hours. He's doing a full season or a full show. So, you know, several performances all scheduled through that. So it's kind of just whatever you feel works for your show.
Okay, great. And the last question I have is, I didn't realize that the box office closes an hour before showtime. So I was getting a lot of questions about that, people that wait till the last minute. But I understand the logic of why you would do that, because you want to print the will call list, and then you would have a physical box office in the theater. But for the virtual shows, is that something that possibly could be relooked at, leaving it up?
You want me to answer this? Okay, sure. That's just the default. I'm pretty sure, granted I wrote this code, but I'm pretty sure that you can set that to 0 if you want to. So in your individual performance, yes, Alan? I saw you make a motion.
I'm checking it right now.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So if you go into your performance on the website, there should be, I forget what it's called, the hours before box office shut off, something like that. You just set that to 0, and you can sell tickets up to the bitter end. So it's just a default that can be changed.
Okay.
That is confirmed. And yeah, you'll just go into edit for your tickets, and you'll just go into under your admin tab, you'll just go into edit, and then you can put 0 hours.
And you know, since we are actually, I probably shouldn't share people's tickets anyway. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so go into the admin section of your project, as Ellen said, edit the performance you want to change, and then at the very bottom, online shut off. You can set that to 0.
And so what I've been doing to get patrons to the show is, initially I had used the for additional information field, which I had set up to like a Facebook page or something. I've been I had put in a Zoom meeting address, but I don't really want audience members to come into Zoom. So what I've done is, an hour before showtime, I'm actually logging into.
I think he's frozen.
Okay, that's not just me.
Then what I've also done is I've taken advantage of your box office feature to message the patrons. So I would send them out the link to all of those that are registered on the site. Now what I found is there's a discrepancy between number of tickets sold and the ones that appear on the patron list, and I believe it's because of that asterisk that says they need to authorize their email information to be given to us. So I don't have a way to communicate with the balance that don't authorize it, and I guess there's nothing we could do about that. But anyway, I'm trying to get the link to the people, and what I've found is that they start calling like whoever they know in the show or emailing them, and so it's a mad rush during this last hour before showtime to get the link to people. I was just wondering if there's any, you guys have more experience, if there's a better way to do that.
Yeah, I think that is what that is for, the send a message to all patrons. So you are absolutely using it correctly. So yeah, what's the issue? Is that there's a couple people who don't get it?
For example, the one show I did had 120 tickets sold, and then, but then when you look at the list of the patrons, I only had like 70 people on there, and I think it's because of that asterisk that they must have done something when they bought the tickets that didn't allow their information to be shared, and therefore I don't have a way to communicate with that other 50.
That's a good point.
So they're scrambling, looking for how do I get into the show.
So yeah, I can see a feature in our near future whereby you can send to everyone, and then maybe there's an extra checkbox that says everyone who. Because the point is, I'll tell you what. Let me take a look at it, and maybe I'll reach out to you individually and get your thoughts on some things that I can change. Does that work?
I don't
but like
care.
What you're doing right now is the official way of doing it. So you're doing it the official way.
I don't really care if I don't know who the people are, but I would feel more comfortable if I knew I was messaging everybody.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah.
Even honestly, if I can do that.
And we can definitely take a look at that and see what we can do. It's code, so it's not going to happen like in 5 minutes, but I'll definitely take a look.
No,
Would it be helpful on that note as well, as we're going through, like, this is the first virtual Fringe we've done too. So maybe putting together some sort of like a virtual tips sheet where, you know, like, so you can kind of not go through those hurdles and the trial and error, just to make it like a how-to for the virtual show experience.
Sure. If I can help you with any of that, let me know.
Thank you, John.
That's just what some of my key learnings are, at least.
Now I'm looking at the code to figure out what I can do. So.
Miles has his hand up. I think he wants to say something.
From having been served on the board of the Theatrical Producers League with Greg Crafts, I know you're a wizard this time. So thank you for looking into it. I appreciate it.
Miles, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. I've been working really closely with Stephen, who's on this call too, and Matt Quinn, and then my mentor in Florida, to figure out how to advance the ideas of virtual plays. From what I've been noticing, a lot of these plays are just, you know, talking heads, kind of like what we're doing now. And we've been really playing around with the ideas of how to make that a little more immersive and engaging. And so if anyone wants to continue that conversation with me, we can start growing together. That's what I wanted to say.
And I want to say, hi, Miles. How you?
I'm great, Ben. How are you?
It's good to see your face.
Good to see you, man. I miss you.
I miss you too.
We are going to be adding more town halls, especially now that we are using Zoom on a regular basis. It's definitely opened up the possibilities for off-season workshops and panels. So is that something I'm guessing everyone would be pretty interested in, is a workshop and panel on Zoom about virtual theater? Great.
This is all brand new for all of us.
And then Adam, you had your hand up before?
No, I'm sorry. I was waving to a new person coming in. Sorry, I'm good.
No worries.
I'll use the virtual hand on the right next time. Thank you.
All right, other questions, comments?
Are we even worried about when another Fringe would be physically at this point? I mean, we have no idea what's going on in general. So
I mean, that's a fair question. Well, you know, it's just like anything else. Following the news like you are, right, and hoping for the best. You know, it's when this all started, I was like, 60 days and we're out of this, and it turned out I was wrong. So I think we just gotta see how things goes. We gotta see if the vaccines is going to come out so that we can go out a little more safer. We need to see the trajectory of the disease and all of these things. So yeah, I'm really crossing my fingers and hoping that June 2021 happens, and I think it will. I think we all think it will. I know we all hope it will. But you know, again, it's all about safety and health, and all of this stuff comes first, obviously, right? So I really, really hope so.
Rest assured, it's not about the Fringe organization. We will come back swinging. It's just about the health and safety of our community.
Yes.
Well, I have a question piggyback on that. What I was curious about, because of all the unknowns and how much you have to plan ahead of time to create such an amazing event. Typically, you know, late fall, winter, I know producers were always trying, you know, we're trying to look at venues already, trying to gear things up. But that seems almost, you know, those rules would probably change by the time you get to maybe March, cross our fingers and so forth. So I would imagine, do you guys have a plan, like have a tiered plan, almost how schools kind of have a tiered plan of like, this is the worst case scenario for a you know, a spring opening versus, you know, if things get better or not?
I mean, we effectively start planning in November usually, right? But we're not going to use November as the sort of the test of how things are going. Ultimately, it's a question of, do we open up registrations on February 1st, right? Because that's when things really start hitting. And if you look at our community, like this time we were planning full swing the October festival. We were saying, how late can we push this out? How much time can we get before we can sort of start to careen into it? Ultimately, we need, I mean, just to create the community, which is ultimately the economic basis of the Fringe Festival, because it makes it economically sane for you guys, right? If we have a solid 3 months to have events, to build up community, to build up supports, to answer questions, these sorts of things, then we can make it happen. It's not going to be particularly fun to make it happen in just 3 months, but it's possible. So it's just like we're gonna keep our eyes on the news. We're gonna keep our eyes on vaccines, obviously, and of course we're gonna keep talking to our city, state, local, and federal guidance as far as the disease goes, and we're going to take a look at what other theaters are doing, what other festivals are doing, all of these things. And what I'd really like to do is say February 1st, registration's open, we're heading towards June. But obviously it's not February. We don't know how the world's going to look by then. So yeah, do our best.
I will say I have been on several calls in the last 30 days or so with other theaters from around the country, just kind of looking at what sort of like things are going to be in place for health and safety. So that way, when it comes time, we are locked and loaded with all of that information.
Any other questions? Lois, do you have any questions?
No questions.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes. Yes, Ellen.
So my question is for everyone, as we're building this Fringe from Home programming and making sure that we're supporting everyone, I loved the idea of putting together some sort of workshop surrounding digital streaming, especially in how it relates to our platform. And I'm wondering if there's anything else that you guys are looking for that we can offer, because that's something that we can do, that we are looking forward to doing because it fits within what the programming that we can do from home. And so like any workshops that are really that you would be looking forward to, or other virtual experiences that might come to your head when you think about this next couple of months.
Because we're not paused. I know the live festival is, but know that we are actively working to continue to create opportunities and just chances to connect, because it matters. So yeah, no idea is too big because Ellen and I need something to do.
Pam?
Hello, lovelies. So that I've been a participant in and audience in other people trying to figure out how to do this on Zoom or online platforms. And one thing that was really clear to me, two things actually. One, a basic workshop on how to put down the controls so you don't get bombed in the middle of your show. I don't know if you've ever experienced the bomb, but it was bad for a couple of them. It was hysterical. But he had another guy on the outside who was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And two, minor things like telling people, because we're not used to it. How do you do this? How do you can't feel the room. You can't read the room. You don't know your lighting is shit. You don't know your sound isn't working. And the small things you need to do. So if you guys have at your fingertips access to amazing tech folks who probably are already on top of this, to give us a workshop on, you're doing your thing at home. Here's what your sound system needs to be. Here's what it needs to look like. You can test, ask your significant other or somebody, do a private test run with friends. Here's what I look like. What do I need to do? And how they fix it. So that's, I'm going to mute myself now. Hi.
A creative workshop and a tech workshop, two separate chances to figure out this virtual theater world we're living in.
Hi, Pam.
And I know from what we've tried to do, bouncing off Pam, is that we were live versus let's pre-record and editing, just because we're really fortunate to have a buddy that knows the editing so well, and it just turned the presentation so well because you could cut to close-ups, or you could cut it instead of just kind of zooming it together. So any kind of workshop with the tech of editing a performance together to make it a little bit more polished would be great. And Miles, I might take you up on that offer with Quinn if you're working with people to broaden that.
Well, and even just the idea of like set dressing too. It's like I went to a show yesterday or 2 days ago, and it was about how he wrote the Desperately Seeking Susan musical. And he had the original movie poster like here. And he, the joke was, look, I'm not crazy. I don't have that poster in my living room every day of the week. This is just for the show. Normally it's hanging above my bed. Hilarious. But like that really hit me hard. It's like, yeah, you can change, we can create different sets now. And like, it's a whole thing. So yeah, I think there's a lot we can figure out real quick if we just work together.
So weird with not a 10-minute load in, load out.
Right.
I see Annie has her hand raised too.
Hi. So I was just wondering if maybe you guys could possibly reach out to Zoom and see if someone from Zoom would be willing to do like a consultation or group consultation with us or something like that, because you can even advertise it to them as like, you have this many people normally putting on shows, and as a way of them promoting their platform as an ideal way of doing this type of show. But I think that I know that they're developing a lot of new tools, and maybe see if they're willing to like give beta tests to fringers or things like that.
I can absolutely reach out. Thank you, Annie.
And StreamYard too. Definitely also StreamYard. Please and thank you.
John also has his hand up, the virtual hand.
Yeah, I was gonna mention StreamYard. There are other things like video encoders. Wirecast is a particularly good one. It's like a software that you download to your computer, and it allows you to bring in a bunch of different sources. But what I was going to mention to you guys, and I know it's not within the normal scope of your business, one of the things that I benefited from of doing this virtually is that it took me outside the regional bounds of just LA. So I don't know if you're going to continue doing this for a while. You might want to think about expanding the scope, because I had people watching my shows last night, as a matter of fact, in Canada and Montreal. I had people in Spain. I had people in Argentina. Some of that has to do with the subject matter, which is the tango, but it allows us to go beyond normal scope of what we think about. So we may want to think about things in those terms. I just got off of I have a private Facebook group of creative folks, and there's people in Florida and New York, and everybody like wants to do creative things right now because we're all stuck at home, and so it's possible that you could get somebody elsewhere if you're interested in that, that would also be able to join in. Because one of the things that I found, and I was possibly a bit overly ambitious, I took on doing 4 shows, so I'm like zoomed out at this point. There's like at least 2 or 3 rehearsals a week for each one of those. Fortunately, 2 of those I have under my belt now, and I can focus on the next 2. This programming virtually, it kind of consumes you because you have to create a lot of content in order to get some kind of continuity to get people to like tune in. It's almost like, we're now in a broadcasting world instead of doing a theatrical production for a month. So anyway, just a lot of things to think about.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's, I would say, one of the silver linings with all of this is it's opened up the audience so much. And hopefully, and just so you guys know, I've been on calls with like World Fringe and USAF Fringe. So basically all the fringes around the world, to make sure that I can start to promote what you guys have on our site across the globe. So working with them so that we can share each other's community, essentially. So hopefully, yeah, you will see a lot more eyes and from a lot more places.
Yeah, I just had a write-up on the show that I did last night and a show I have coming up on July 9th in a newspaper in Buenos Aires, which was really nice and was promoting the Hollywood Fringe. So I'll forward that on to you so you guys can take a look at it.
That'd be great. Thank you. And congratulations.
Yeah, the creating the content. Now we all understand the pain of those YouTubers, those younglings we used to make fun of. Well, now we know. Now we know.
Miles, you have a question?
I actually wanted to add on to what both John and Pam were just talking about. Not only that, and I think John kind of hit it too, but we also have the ability to cast all over the world. Like, I'm doing Romeo and Juliet virtually with Steven, and yeah, and it's been great. In fact, that's what I was just working on, was the French scene breakdown. But like, my Romeo and Juliet are in Australia, my Mama and Papa Capulet are in Orlando, and everyone else is someone I've met in Hollywood. But that's the other thing, is now we can also pick which fringe we want to, like, because Orlando's doing the same thing, you guys are doing, and I'm going to pick Hollywood. Obviously, I live here. I want to support you guys. But like, now the game's completely changed.
And
yeah, the show I'm doing it on the 9th. Half of my cast is bilingual of the show that I did last night. So it's the same play, but I'm doing it in Spanish. And so the other half of my cast will be in Buenos Aires. So we're actually rehearsing, 7,000 miles away.
I see a hand down there from Lauren, I believe.
So related questions. I'm wondering if since the live Fringe won't be happening, but there'll still be the ticketing site, could the confirmations and receipts email be updated with the language? Because there's some call outs to, make sure you check in with the venue and make sure the venue's 21 or older, and even the stuff about, being vigilant and aware and all that. I feel like it would be helpful to be adjusted.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good note. I still might want people to be vigilant and aware, but I agree.
I don't know if you want to talk about the LAPD right now, but
not so much. But yeah, I'll thank you for that note. Well, I'll change that this week.
and then my related add-on to that would be, but if there is a way to still promote support of our venues, if any of them are taking donations or anything like that, I'd be happy to support that or add language to that. But all to say, that was kind of the two thoughts.
That's great.
Saying I don't see any venues on, but I plan to reach out to them because know that we have platforms on social and newsletters, and because they all are independent, it's tough, especially when there's so many, to say a huge fundraiser for all of them, because that for each one, I don't know how much of a difference it would make. But the Fringe platform is always going to be happy to advertise for them because that's our family. We love the venues and we are a Fringe because of venues in so many ways. So we of course will be, and I'll reach out to them since no one is on the call today, to make sure that they know that.
Can I ask a question of Lauren? Lauren, did you mean the venues that have GoFundMe's and other stuff while they're trying to, is that what you meant?
Yeah. Or even if it's something where it's if we were doing ticketing and it's add a donation to the venue of your choice or something like that.
Thank you. I was just wondering.
Actually, that brings up an idea or thought. Are we still doing discount for Fringe participants on the ticketing sites? And if so, how is that still a thing?
Well, it should work if you're still registered. If you've requested a refund, you're immediately unregistered and removed as a participant. But theoretically, yes. If you are still registered, then you would qualify for participant discounts.
But with only Hollywood Fringe.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And all right.
I'm sorry. I have a question. The discount, participant discount for a virtual thing, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I might be able to, you're saying no to a participant? You're saying that makes you feel bad?
No, I just, and again, I'm talking off the top of my head and I'm thinking in a pandemic, trying to support, it's all virtual, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you have to get up and go anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Not like you have to pay for parking or anything.
Right.
Or a venue.
Or a venue or insurance or anything. I just think.
Well, here's the thing. You don't need to give a participant discount. Are we talking about the dollar?
Maybe you don't have to offer it.
Huh?
Because we know that people, if they have a chance to be cheap, they will. Why offer it?
You don't need to offer it though. You have the option of not offering it.
Oh, I thought it was a thing that you guys were offering.
No. You on a it's not even a show by show. It's a performance by performance basis. You can set participant discounts. It's entirely
just like regular.
Yeah, like regular.
All right, I'll shut up. I was just like,
you don't need to shut up.
Anybody should support. It should be other participants.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna push the mute button.
Okay. Any other questions? No.
Any other thoughts about workshops or panels or upcoming other sort of virtual things as well? Just bringing it back in case something comes to mind.
Well, I have a question. Not as much related to all this technical stuff, which is great because we're all the ones kind of moving forward, I guess, with doing shows. And John, I saw your tango show last night, so that was fun. Has there been a reaction? I mean, like, okay, we've been doing this, but there's like 400 shows that are now canceled. Are people already requesting refunds? Is there an email response? Like, what these 400 producers, has there been a response? Or is this kind of like it's all sinking in?
Like a response to our cancellation?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's 400, like, we're all like, yeah, like reaching out and on social media and all that, but are the, the 380 other people, is there already like a sense of something, well, a reaction?
You mean like, how dare you cancel the Fringe, that sort of thing?
Any response, yeah.
I have been taken personally by how much it seemed to be non-newsy to people. Like, I don't know if other people were, I'm curious because we've obviously needed to be planning the cancellation that we executed on Monday for weeks because a lot of things need to be going. Venues need to be brought on board. We need to make sure things are taken care of. But when we eventually announced it, I kind of expected a bit of more of a shock and awe sort of thing. But I think it's just that people at this point are so used to the concept of 2020 being canceled, pretty much, that this was just like, oh, okay. Well, life may start again on January 1st. But yeah, I'm curious if anyone on this call was particularly shocked and appalled in any way when that happened, or if it was sort of like yeah, I was waiting for that email. Because I gather a lot of people were just waiting for us to cancel at this point. And the reason, by the way, that we canceled, you might remember when we first were talking about this, we said August 1st, that it would be as late as August 1st or no later than August 1st. Well, our opinion is like, it became readily apparent that this wasn't going to happen. And we could, wait until August 1st to make the announcement, right? But we said, that's just not fair to participants. It's much more fair to participants to tell them as soon as we know, and we can put together a package and release it to give all of the news and whatnot of what's happened. So, yeah, I have been taken by the lack of like a response of shock, and it was more like a, oh yeah. So yeah, I think it's good to see your face, by the way, man. It's good to see you.
As far as numbers,
I'm here for the Ben Hill. Yes.
Excellent, sir. Excellent.
Stephen, to speak to the numbers, the good news about making the choices early as we did to avoid having 400 people, trying to get, refunds from their venues and things like that is we only had, I want to say approximately 130 shows currently registered. Because registration goes all the way well past where we were. And of course, when we postponed, that kind of put a pause on a lot of people registering. That's it. Okay, that's interesting because actually thank you for that, Lois. Yeah, that's good info.
Yeah. I mean, I think when this all hit, it was like late February when this really started hitting the news. We saw a very, very sudden drop off in registrations in late February. So yeah, I'd say about 35% of the Hollywood Fringe registers on April 1st.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they have no care whatsoever for my blood pressure.
Well, that's a good, that's a good answer. Yeah.
Well,
Can I say something?
Oh, sorry.
There was a letter that went out. I think it was regarding Black Lives Matter, and it talked about canceling the June celebration event, I believe. That was interpreted by a lot of people that freaked out at that point that the whole Fringe was canceled. So I had writers and actors calling me in a total panic. So by the time the cancellation of the physical October event came out, they were already kind of past that shock. So that may be why they didn't react as much to the cancellation coming.
That's really
also,
good.
the theater group had already announced they canceled the whole season and weren't opening until April 29th of next year. So those two events sort of happened in between, you know, Fringe coming out and saying we're canceling in October.
Well, somehow I didn't even hear about the news until the next day. And you guys know how like on top of the news I am with this stuff. Like Matt Quinn told me, I had no clue. So I was shocked, to tell you the truth. But to kind of what Stephen was asking, Ben, what about venues? What have venues been saying?
Well, venues have been very deeply impacted by this whole thing. I mean, you have an expensive Hollywood venue and you go 6 months without any income. Ooh, I mean, so we're doing everything we can to try to help our venues right now. And I think everyone on this call, anyone who's listening to our voice, should also like do what they can to help their venues, whatever's in their power, because they're very much impacted by all this. I mean, by the time we made the decision, everyone had kind of already gotten there. When we were in the process of doing the postponement, it was a little more rocky, because I think, and I'm sure if we did a survey of everyone on this call and said, at what point in the progress of this pandemic did we realize, like, oh shit, this is a big deal, you know, like this is like nothing we've ever seen before, right? I refer to that as have you gotten there yet? You know, because there was that period of like a couple weeks when like people were on different parts of the strata, right? So we canceled when 25% of the people weren't quite there yet. So no, we postponed when 25% of the people were not there yet. And talking to venues, I mean, venues are even more financially driven to make this happen, because this is how they make their money. This is how they keep their doors open, right? So strangely enough, internally, the postponement was actually a little more rocky than the cancellation. Once we got to the cancellation, and Greg Crafts is our venue liaison, and we were talking through him, and he got back to us and said, yeah, everyone's pretty much there. Like this can't happen in October. It's just there's too many unknowns. The economics won't work if we get hit by, like, you have to have half inventory in the performance. Participants will lose money. Venues will lose money. People could get sick, and that would just be devastating. So we're like, we got to close in. Pretty much everyone agreed. And even the venues who have a lot to lose agreed. So yeah, that's a little inside baseball for you.
Well, maybe because I work conventions, but when I saw the postponement came down, I was like, it's done. I'm just going to wait for them to decide. And it was the right decision, you know, because health and safety for everybody. But when Comic-Con, WonderCon, Burning Man, what's that thing in Austin?
South by Southwest.
Yeah. You know, anybody who, you know, be on the mailing list, there's a reason. But anybody who was thinking, I know they were going to try, and I know that y'all were paying attention, because you said we're paying attention to what's going on. But when the postponement hit, if you weren't already preparing yourself for, eventually they're going to say, we're done. That's on you.
Yeah, not to mention Coachella, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, you know.
Oh my God.
BlizzCon, E3, like all of these giant tech conventions, giant music conventions.
All the places where I make money when I'm not at Fringe.
Yeah, right.
All my jobs, every single job.
Yeah, I used to work at Live Nation Entertainment. I'm kind of glad I don't work there right now. You know. Yeah, it's like nothing that I don't think any of us have ever seen, you know.
And truly, when it came to the postponement, our hope, we felt like at the time, because we didn't know a whole lot, the hope was in that while we are in an international festival, the majority of our community is hyper-local. And that was the one thing that gave us hope in the possibility of an October festival, was that we wouldn't have to worry as much about everyone flying in and driving in from all over. And so the hope was that, you know what, if we can have a festival hyper locally, it is possible for the type of festival we have And we felt it was our economic responsibility. If we can make it happen to, be there for our stakeholders, then we're gonna make it happen. Unfortunately, the world won. The world beat us.
So I don't know if it's applicable, but when you're talking about workshops and stuff, we know the world has changed, the theater world, a lot. For stage managers, and most of your Fringe stage managers are independent freelance folks. And the ones like the union guys in the big shops, they'll be fine eventually once those people work out their stuff. But is there something to gather stage managers, indies, freelance, Fringe type stage managers, one, learn these new platforms. Virtual stage managing is a thing. It's not going to pay as much. It's probably not going to pay anything. But two, how do we figure out what our futures are going to be below the line? And that's not, I'm thinking stage manager because I am one, but my light guys, my sound guys, my set guys and gals, sorry, don't mean to be, but you know what I mean? That the future is going to be very different. I already know of some venues that are gone now and people want to, I've been watching what No Proscenium have been talking about and what the guys out of Canada are doing and a whole bunch of stuff I've been watching from London at 6 o'clock on a Sunday morning because God help us. But, everything's going to be different. And below the line stage managers, I don't know, y'all are better at this than me. I'm just throwing that out there. I'm going to mute me now.
I love that. At the end of the day, these are the roles, there are stakeholders that we're talking about. It's so many people affected. And I love that. And Pam, I just wrote you a message. Let's chat about that more and just to see how we can use our platform to help the humanity of our communities continue to survive beyond the creative and artistic side.
Sorry, I listen because I'm on my iPad. So to see chats, I have to come in and push this button and do.
I can send you an email later.
I'll see
If I may.
I also want to, just really quickly, I just want to bounce off that. If you do want to add anything to our artist resource list, if you see any grants or anything that you're applying for and you want the Fringe community to know about it, we're going to keep that running list open on our blog of either tax info or resources that we see or workshops that people might want to promote, and we'll keep it updated. And there's a form on the top of that for you to submit that. So it's already there if you want to submit anything to let the community know about.
Well, and to piggyback off of what Pam was saying, and piggybacking off of what I was saying earlier, there are ways to incorporate those people. Because, again, the set dressing that I was talking about, with Romeo and Juliet virtually, I now have 9 different sets that I have to create. And yeah, I could do it, but if I could get someone that was a set dresser for a living or a set designer for the theater side of it for a living, and then we can coordinate that way, that would make it so much easier and more collaborative. So, and then there's Foley artists and stuff like that we could start adding back into our world. So yeah, I think there are ways to give the stage managers and the lighting designers and all of them jobs. I do.
Yeah, actually, what I found when I'm running these virtual shows and I'm directing them, but I've turned into a technical director now because I got to be doing all of these cues on Zoom, music, backgrounds, getting people to turn on and off their cameras and sound, especially when I have some members of my cast that were octogenarians, was quite a challenge. And to Pam's point, that's not my forte, and that's not really what I would like to be doing. I found myself in the situation where I had to take that on. But yeah, if there was a stage manager that was familiar with the system, you could make them a co-host and they could run the show for you. without having to take on all of that responsibility yourself.
In a quick text, have everybody have their tip. Everybody in your performance have their phones and tech on, text and your number in it. And then that's how you send them if you have to do it yourself. That is a way we've done it with a couple of things. And it didn't always work, but it's just one small thing that maybe might help you going forward.
Sometimes so actors are like so in character that they're not like paying attention to the text or the chat. Like they're so focused on how they're engaging with the audience and like staying in character visually with their face and everything that they're not paying attention to that stuff. And like you're trying to send a note, like to be like, you need to fix this with your lines, you need to fix this. But then they're not paying attention.
Yeah, then you do the iron glove wrapped in velvet and let your actor know you need to be in character on your fucking phone because this is a different world.
Yeah.
But do it nicely.
Or as a director, like what I'm doing is I'm incorporating the turning on and off the camera as part of like the motivations of the characters. So I, as a stage manager director, don't have to deal with half of the turning on and off of camera because they're doing it themselves.
Nice.
Or whatever, or just even just like turning off their camera. You know, and it's part of the character now that I'll be right back, I'm gonna turn off my camera and then leave.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I have written down, by the way, from a comment earlier about the mailing list, and I say this at like, this is the best advice I've ever heard. If you aren't getting our emails, I would really strongly encourage you to add it to your contacts in your email server. So if you have like Gmail or whatever, you're going to want to add info@hollywoodfringe.org to your contacts so that it makes sure that it doesn't go through your spam filter, because anything through any listserv will. And make sure that you, if you do have it in your promotions, but you want to move it to your normal tab, that's a feature you can do in Google. And so if you're not getting our emails, that's a great way to make sure you get any more updates.
Really quickly, I want to jump back a few questions ago, back to the June celebration that we now realize, aha, thank you for pointing that out. I can see where that got confusing. So what that was we were planning, June is our Fringe month. We were planning an actual June celebration to celebrate, our favorite month of the year, with a bunch of workshops and things like Zoom karaoke and just, the part of the fun and the community that we all love about the festival. So do keep an eye out, because we do, as much as the educational and the shows are going to be such an amazing thing, the fun aspect will be there as well, because quite frankly, we miss you all and want to have some fun and celebrate, because this is a sucky thing, for lack of a better word, for all of us involved. No one is, relieved or excited about this festival being canceled. So, I think we're going to mourn now, and then let's celebrate all together very soon with some planned fun programming. Any other questions or comments?
I got a private, an anonymous one. It says, do you think it will be harder to keep the community, especially now that the festival is canceled? There's a small group on the call. I wonder if there's any venues that will be represented, or I guess probably outsiders is what the thought is when we have such small events.
Here's the thing. I would say to that, anyone who's ever been to one of our post-mortem town halls, which has approximately 11 people showing up to it, and then the next year we have 400 people participating in the Fringe. I don't think so. I have long since learned that the attendance in any of our events is not an indicator of the size of the festival. I think in this particular case, I guess people just read the news and they understood it. They didn't necessarily have any questions, which is fine. So I don't think it will impact the community at all. I think anyone who bets against theater over history loses if you think it's gonna fail. And theater itself is held up by community because of the nature of how we make theater. So like I have absolutely no worries that the community will be dissolving or going away or becoming less powerful or less close or less important. I think if anything, the sort of the feeling of angstiness and desperation and fear that all of this has created only makes us want to bind closer together as a community. So I'm not concerned personally, anonymous commenter. But thank you for the question.
Here. And I also want to remind everybody that there is people actively watching on Facebook Live as well. We have several people on there right now, like 10 or something. And we also have a venue that's been commenting on the Facebook. And we do have tons of people who are going to be looking at this over the next week. This will live on for a long time. And so for those that couldn't just make this time period, we also will have other events to address this. And we will continue to have any of that open office hours time where it's also like, we'll put you guys into rooms to be able to network, but you'll also be able to ask us direct questions. And this is not the first or last time that we'll probably hear questions about this year because it's just so up in the air.
Just to emphasize what Ellen is saying, again, this new world, don't go by just the numbers on the Zoom. When it's being simulcast on Facebook and kept up for however long, there will be hundreds. I mean, we have discovered that with other things. I'm like, where were these people? Well, they just didn't want to leave their house. Again, create theater so they don't have to leave their house, and you will have an audience larger than you ever thought you would have, which is maybe not so much a good thing, but we'll worry about that later. For now, people are listening, people are paying attention. And again, time of day, whatever, but there's so much. We got to get the data, like McNamara said, get the data as we are trying and figuring this stuff. Oh, I'm sorry, maybe McNamara was not a good example because of what he did in the Vietnam War. I'm just going to mute myself now.
Well, and the idea of, word of mouth isn't just the festival anymore. This is word of mouth of the entire world.
And we are living in a strange time where I feel like we all are having, as humans, and then on top of it as artists, because as artists, we are automatically more empathetic, more vulnerable to our feelings. And I think as artists, we tend to go up and down quicker and more often. And so sometimes maybe it's not the time to go on the town hall. I'm going to check it out the next day. And in that regard, I am so excited for 2021 because the amount of human experience that we're all sharing in right now is going to be so important to see in the live again, because I think it's going to be our chance to heal and to kind of go through some of the feelings that we can't figure out right now. And so I think it is so important, the role of the artist in times like this. And I can't wait to see what y'all create.
Wise Lois. Yes, I'm just going to say that. Yeah, I'm going to shut myself up.
Pam, you're the best.
Any other questions?
I feel like I don't know about questions yet because I was like, okay, now you finally have a clearer direction of what's going on. I was just like, okay, let's get the information, then that'll inspire the questions. So I have a feeling, let's turn September, October, we're going to start having questions. We're going to have a lot fuller, Zoom meeting, I'm sure. I think right now we're like, okay, yeah, we knew that, let's move on, but it's like, but again, we have to wait for fall probably for even a little bit more. So I'm really excited about that social Zoom. Let's do it. I'll bring the cocktails, whatever, some mixers. We'll just do it. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we can bring our favorite recipes from what they've been putting out on the Fringe site, the Bella recipes, which my D&D group have loved some of them, and most of them I love. Yeah, let's do that. And then we can all get like drunk on Zoom. It'll be fun. We're safe. Nobody has to call an Uber.
And we could play D&D.
We even have options to now mimic the office hours experience where it's not just us all on this one Zoom. We have obviously time for that, and we make sure that we have large group discussions, but we're also pushing everybody into like individual rooms with either like 2 people in them to 4 people. So everybody kind of gets that chance to connect a little bit with more deeply and not have to like sit and listen for a while before speaking. So it's been pretty exciting, and we'll continue to do that for sure.
I have a question just based on what I'm seeing. I know Fringe is far more diverse than, frankly, the theaters I have freelanced for. But maybe it's just they'll see it later, time of day. I know you guys with Access and the scholarship program, you're doing serious reaching out. And again, all praise to you all for what you're doing in this COVID period to try to inform, connect, let everybody, you haven't been abandoned. But this is kind of a pale meeting. We'll see what happens with the Access one. I'm just here because I wanted to
I'm here, Pam. Jeez, me and you, girl.
Who said that? I have to get him on my
Who would say that to you, Pam?
Oh my God, bald black square? Yeah, you. Gone. Yeah, you're right. But you know what I mean, right? You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. It's always been a big thing for the Fringe.
Yeah, and they've always done
as you know.
Yeah.
And Lois and Ellen are doing a wonderful job at expanding our outreach to communities that aren't usually on stage. And as I said on that call the other day, you know, the Fringe Scholarship Program was the main driving force of getting more voices of diversity onto our stages. And I think we've done a great job. I think we have a long way to go. But at the same time, you know, not everyone is going to have a chance to hop onto a Zoom and talk about something that, you know, that they had already checked out on. I mean, to be fair, we have what, like 8 people on this call? I mean, our town halls used to get 100+ people. But at this point, you know, they've kind of, all right, we're done for the year. I don't need to think about it. I don't need to really ask questions. But yeah, you're right. We can continue to do that. And they're absolutely reaching out, and we're having that access meeting, I believe, on Saturday, 12 to 2, if anyone is interested. So, you know, give props to both of them for continuing to reach out in this time.
Yeah. Con, how much do you think is also, you know, how minority communities or minorities in primarily white spaces, no offense to anybody, but you know what theater is, if they don't have some, if even after 10 years, it's still not trusted.
I mean,
should those of us who are browner
mm-hmm.
do more on behalf with our networks, or just reaching out to people to say, look, these people are legit. Should do that.
I mean, I think yes, and I think what maybe we may need to also do, and as I put more work on Ellen and Lois, is reach out to past participants of non-pale skin and say, hey, we would love to have, and I know they have done this to an extent. Hey, we would love to have your thoughts on how we can, you know, reach out to your communities, how we can reach out to your networks and get them more involved in Fringe. Look, I think we all are aware that theater is, as you put it, a very pale space, and we can all be doing better to get more color on stage. And I think that's reaching out to our friends who may not even be aware of the Fringe, just to come see a show at the very least, and say, hey, you know, there are voices here that may be interesting to you. So it's a matter of always being a proponent for the festival, which I think everyone here is, and just continuing to talk about it to not just our white friends.
Con, I'm also thinking about behind the scenes, below the lines, like what this is. This admin, educational, talking, building is as crucial as what is up on the stage.
Absolutely. And, you know, I'll say this, Fringe is that strange beast in that we have had an education element to it. we've tried all these different facets of reaching out to different communities over the years. You know, we're going into year 11. Some things just didn't work, and maybe we need to revisit them now that we are a little bigger. We have a few more resources, we have more context, and maybe we do need to look at some of the things we did in the past. But we are constantly trying to do that. You know, I am always happy to hear more ideas of how to reach out to people of color, and I think you being part of the Access Committee or coming to that Zoom call will go a long way to help with that.
I just wanted to, oh, Lois, sorry. I just really wanted to quickly talk about some of the commitments that we've made recently, because I think that that'll give some enlightenment to the things that we are doing, but there's a lot of work to do. And I want to start out by saying that there's a lot of work that an outreach, and really it's making, it's more than just outreach. It's making sure that the community, that there's a really strong community support for all the different that for everybody, and making sure that that is inclusive from the Fringe staff down. But what
it's hard work what you're doing. I'm going to shut up. I just wanted to say that that's fucking hard. So glad it's not my job.
So I just wanted to.
We're happy to take it on, and just to like before Ellen goes into it, what we're doing is we're white women. There's no way. I mean, you can see us here on the Zoom and on Facebook Live. We're listening, and we're listening to what needs to be done and how we can make that actionable. So that's been our primary goal. So we're lucky to have 8 amazing Access Committee members who, and you'll actually be introduced to them tomorrow via the newsletter, who are willing to take the time and talk to us and tell us what they're seeing in the community. Because at the end of the day, we're also a very small staff with 400 plus shows every year. We don't get nearly as much face time with the community as we would like. So they're like our inside scoop into what's happening. How can we make it better? And I'll let Ellen take it away with the actionables.
Yeah, I mean, our Access Committee, we are so very lucky to have started that program, and it is a program that'll be running through 2021 and then renewed. You know, it's something that is a commitment for a long time. And working with our Access Committee to assess some of our organizational practices and processes and kind of identify some of these areas that need addressing. And then after each Access Committee, our staff is going to meet, reflect, and address the issues that are just right there and we can fix. And also talk about the issues that'll take long-term commitments and decide how we're going to start to put those things into action. I would also say that we're increasing our number of scholarships. This year we increased to 13. Next year we're going to increase to 15. And from there we want to increase to more, and also make those scholarships more focused on specifically collaborating with different theaters across that are already doing the work, that already have these artists that are doing the work. And also collaborating with those theaters on more workshops and making sure that not only are our workshops that we present on producing or on writing, featuring more Black, Indigenous, other people of color, making sure that they're represented as panelists, but also reaching out with specific organizations and specific theaters from different backgrounds, and making sure that they are presenting their work through the Fringe. And being able to collaborate with us on our creative workshop series is going to be really important. And also, I'm just really excited to hear all of the ideas from our Access Committee, because that list is just going to get longer, and all of these things that we need to put into action is going to come from comments from our community. And I really love that you brought that up, Pam, and I'm really grateful for all of the feedback that you've always given us and support. You are always supporting us, and that is so important. And
love you, man. Really, you got changed, made awesome, and totally fucked up my life. Thank you, Hollywood Fringe.
But
if I one thing, I'm deceiving you because I'm Latinx, and the show I did last night, 50% of my cast was also Latinx. 100% of the next show I'm doing is also. So, and 3 out of 4 of the shows that I'm directing are that way. There's only one that I didn't have control over that. So yeah. I'm trying.
And if I can piggyback off of that too.
All your support. And Lois, Ben, Beeve, you guys are great. Thank you very much.
If I could piggyback off that too, if I may. Pam, you know that I worked in Lamar Park doing theater for over a year. And I know for a fact that it's not because of lack of interest and lack of people. They're there for sure. I think a lot of it has to do with the the ability to reach said people. And I think with the access, I think Fringe has been trying, it seems. So, you know, it's just going to take time. And,
Yeah.
and to go off of
Oh,
John,
sorry.
I'm so sorry. No, you're okay. To go off of what John was saying too, Romeo and Juliet is actually 75% people of color. There's only three white people in my show. One of them's me. So like, yeah, I think, look, we all know that the whole world is changing completely. And I think a lot of it has to do with the internet, not even the movements themselves, like Me Too or the George Floyd death. We're like, it's the internet. I think it's the internet. We're still getting used to it. And I think that is doing wonders for us. You know, we're all in an adjustment phase and we're all trying to get better.
I think that Fringe already jumped when they came in and created Fringe. They already did the big hurdle of taking a balkanized theater community in LA and turning it into something. Now, the next hurdles are within the balkanized big group, now the others. And so I just wanted to make clear, I'm not talking about numbers, what percentage of your cast is, I'm not colored, I was born this way, by POC or whatever. I'm talking about the big picture of making sure, and they already are taking steps toward that. But I also know there are trust issues that they have legitimately, not against Fringe, but against having to fight in theater, you know? So that's what I mean. You guys are doing great. I'm gonna shut up.
Oh, I thought Annie had a hand up.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm like there, lower hand. I feel like, and this might be more of a question at the access meeting or something like that, but I feel like for the past 2 or 3 years, I have in all of my casting notices been like, I would like more diverse actors to submit and people of different gender identities. And most of my shows, when I'm developing them, I actually purposely don't, I come up with like an outline of the plot and I write all of my characters for the actors so that it's like as open as possible in casting. And I put my casting notices on as many like Facebook job boards as I can find, but I still like maybe for every casting notice, I'm just like getting all white people or all white males like submitting for things. And I feel that I would love like more communication as to where the people of color talent are that would be interested in collaborating with me. Because I feel like I also see a lot of people of color around the community and I post on all the Fringe pages when I'm casting. And I feel like, you know, part of it too is, you know, a lot of like maybe there's like a different platform or places that I could be posting that I don't know about and I would love to know about. And I feel like that should be part of the discussion about, you know, how can you reach these talented people?
And actually know that has come up in the conversation too, in just our basic meetings with the Access Committee, is how to make sure that casting notices are more equitable across the board. And that's a big question. And I think that's something we'll have to really start to think about. And I think it would be great to bring it up on Saturday as well to have more discussion on that.
Yeah. And I can't attend on Saturday because I'm working at a food drive, but I'm volunteering at a food drive. But like if like you get any more information on that, I'd love to hear what happened.
There's also a form for Saturday's meeting that will be reviewed in separate access meetings as well as discussed on the call. So if there's anything that you guys want to submit, you could submit it anonymously. You can submit it and ask for follow-up from one of myself or Lois. And we would really love to get some of that feedback so that it can be brought up in meetings and start to be discussed. And I would really encourage anyone who's not able to attend on Saturday, if there's any thoughts that you have, to fill out that form with your thoughts.
We are nearing the end of this town hall. Is there any last questions? Bella, would you mind giving a quick update on Cabaret and the opportunities there?
Oh, not at all. So Cabaret was going to be hosting some special events in June. That's part of what we put on pause. And then we were going to kind of just wait until all of this had kind of blown over to put episode 3 up, which is what we were at. We put out 2 episodes of Virtual Cabaret, which went really well. So episode 3 will tentatively be going up in August, and we're going to be doing first Fridays. So as of right now, it's something that we're hoping to continue because we did get a lot of really good feedback on it, and it's a really fun thing for us to do, and also allowing us to showcase not only our artists, but artists from around the world, and kind of raise awareness of Fringe and theater in general for everybody. So submissions for episode 3 are going to start being accepted fairly soon. The form is still open right now. So I'll pop that into the chat. So if you want to submit at any time, you can. I'm going to start reviewing them, I should say, shortly. And then we'll be doing episodes on first Fridays. Again, hopefully starting in August, fingers crossed, if nothing else catastrophic comes out of the sky and hits us. So yeah, if anybody has any questions about that, I'm happy to field those as well.
The good news is we can only cancel a festival once, so that option's out.
Before we have final questions or final thoughts, I just want to make all of our announcements again. I know that some of you heard them already, but I want to make sure that that information gets out there. So we do have our Access Roundtable, which will be on Saturday from 12 to 2. And you can register on our website to get the Zoom link, but it'll also be live to YouTube. We have our office hours coming up on Wednesday, July 1st from 7 to 9, which is also a space for us to talk about inequities in our community, as well as I'm sure we're going to talk about cancellation. It's just kind of there now. And so I would really encourage anybody who wants to be in more of an open forum with us. We're going to be doing office hours regularly to keep coming and keep giving us ideas, because Lois and I have been very much looking forward to that and getting a lot of thoughts from that. We will also be continuing our other Fringe from Home programming like Cabaret workshops, and we'll be seeking ideas about that. And so that'll be really exciting to keep going. Our artist resources will be on the blog. I love the idea of any resources that you do have. If you have a job board that you've been using or anything like that, please feel free to use the form on the artist resources to put it in there so that we can start to have that promoted in that artist resource list. Anything that you any resources that you come across, from taxes to jobs to funding. We also are allowing our community again to use our ticketing system free of charge right now. And as an extra bonus, you'll get those lovely impressions free of charge. And I want to make sure that you know that we have a blog post about how to set that up. And then there's a lot of exciting things coming up from that, including people in this call. So I'm very excited to see what you guys all come up with now. Excited to see what comes out of our next festival. And thank you guys so much for being here. I'm sure there's more, but I just want to say that.
I have a question for Ben Hill.
Oh, no, that's closed. Questions are closed.
Ben Hill, how does your hair get so silky smooth?
Tell you how. Genetics, it's unattainable.
He woke up that way.
So Khan spoke at my wedding. I think he spent about half of it talking about my hair.
I thought it was 75%.
Fair enough. Okay.
I was there. I can attest to that. It was 75%.
I was actually drunk, so I don't remember much of it. So
it's the only way she got you to the altar.
That's fair enough.
The story has it was.
I love you, Stacey Jones Hill.
So we reached the stage of the meeting where all the tea comes out. Great.
Given the comments just made, Khan, can you introduce yourself for anyone who doesn't know you? Last couple comments, just make a little more sense.
I can't. I'm just a black square.
Khan is chairman of the board of directors of the Hollywood Fringe Festival. That is who he is. He does other things too, I suppose, but that's the main thing.
Yes. Love to do that.
Okay. Well, thank you all very much for coming. It's so great to see everyone's faces, to hear everyone's thoughts. It's not quite the Hollywood Fringe Festival, but at least we had this together, right? So thank you all. I really just loved listening to everyone's comments and everyone's thoughts and everyone's suggestions. Lois, Ellen, do you have anything to drum us out?
I have faith we'll see everyone very soon. Ellen and I are at all the events, so come by. We'll talk more Fringe.
We miss you, and it's so nice to see your faces. It really, truly is, and I can't wait for more.
Nice to see you guys.
All right, thanks everybody.
This is when we need send-off music.
I'm taking us off live. Bye, Facebook.
Bye, Facebook.